We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for raising funds for nonprofits. If you might not have picked this up, but I'm a super nice person. The reason you're not supposed to laugh, you're not supposed to smile, you're supposed to say, "Well, yeah, I mean, of course." I mean,
That's
so
why I'm smiling. I'm
right,
confirming. It's a
thank you, affirming.
confirmation smile.
Right, right. So, my dad was a pastor, so I grew up as a pastor's kid and a missionary's kid. And so, obviously those are troubled types of people, the children of pastors. But no, I actually was a pretty good kid. But in nonprofits, well, this story here. Couple things here, because so understanding how to raise funds is important. So we've gone through, right? We've gone through box one here. Now I'm gonna, with Justin, you can tell Justin's a nice guy. Okay, just as you can tell him he's nice. People are gonna like him. People are gonna be like, wow, he's a nice guy. That's not with me. People just see me, they don't like me. Like there was this lady in my dad's church when we were, when we were married and my wife and I and our kids were going there, and there's a woman, it's a small church, it's 150 people. And she didn't like,
That's
yeah.
strange.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Justin. That's exactly the response that I like to
Yeah, I
see. Like,
mean, like why out of the blue?
oh, not like Mark, like, right? The guys.
Yeah.
Anyways, I couldn't figure it out either. She never told me that. I just could feel she didn't like me. Now, her husband, he liked me a lot. Not a big deal because he liked everybody. He's probably like Justin, like he's just a nice guy. He liked everybody. But I'm like, I'm not going to go deep in, a friendship with him because that's going to irritate his wife. And so, it's fine. So, and that, that was for 5 years and she never yelled at me, never. I could just tell like the energy, like she just didn't like me. Anyways, they're over to our house like 5 years after they go ahead and start attending the church. So they've been attending the church for 5 years. And we're over at our house, and she's at the table, and she's like, out of nowhere, she's like, Mark, I don't know if you knew this, but I've never liked you. Like, just like that. And I'm like, wow, Maggie, that's so cool. Like, I kind of sense that, but I've never understood why. And she's like, you are the most intense person I've ever met in my life. And my
Well,
mind is obviously racing over the last 5 years. Like I'm thinking, I don't ever remember being intense around her. Not once. Like not once. Um, and so I'm like, Maggie, I don't ever remember being intense around you in 5 years. She said, you remember the first time we met? And I'm like, I apologize, I do not. Like I was supposed to. Like, ooh,
right, like
like, and
committed to memory.
right. Like, I'm like, I don't. She says, I was in the front of the church. I'm like, okay. And she said, you walked in through the back doors of the church, the entryway doors. I'm like, okay. And that was it. And I'm like, so was I yelling or was I angry? Or she's like, no, you just walked in. And I'm like, well, that's kind of disturbing. Good
Yeah.
Christian woman. I just walk in and she doesn't like me. Like, wow. Like, huh. So what are you supposed to do with that? So there's this presence that I have where certain people just don't like me. And I just for showing up, like if I just show up, people don't like me. I've learned to accept it. The people that if you're like that, okay, you don't have to meet me, talk to me. It's okay. I'm fine with that. The thing that frustrated her probably the most is I didn't care. like, like
You're apathetic.
I am. I'm like, there's 8 billion people in the world. You know what? If you're not going to like me because I walk, like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, sorry that so intense that you can't go ahead and, anyways. So that's one story. Another story is it might be true too. I might be the most intense person, of the 8 billion. I don't know these things, but anyways, so with my wife, um, when I'm in business mode, when I have business hat on, um, so I remember the first time I told her, it was probably, we were 35, I think, mid 30s. So we'd been married for about 15 years, maybe 20 years. And she came into my office, and we, had 7 kids and stuff. And and she said something that took 20 words to say. Now, after 20 years, you might be thinking, Mark, and all the women that are listening, it's like, he's sexist. Okay. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, stereotypes are there for a reason. They're there. I'm not saying all women are like this, but my wife, now we've been married for 40 years. So I'm a little more comfortable. But then I'm like, honey, sweetheart, like on our date nights every Friday, you know, you know, you can use 20 words. You can use as many words as you want on our date night. Like it's okay. Or if we're not, if it's not during work hours, like it's fine. But during work, sweetheart, I need you to be more efficient with your words, honey. So what you just said in 20 words could have been said in 3. So can you go ahead and tighten during work now? Can you tighten up? She looked at me like she didn't know what to think. She's like, she didn't get mad or anything. She just like, huh. Now, you know, so the reason I share that story is so all the men, that listen to me say, admire me. They're like, you said that to your wife. Yep, yipper. I said, like,
That is
I,
gutsy. I got to tell you, that is
right,
gutsy.
right there. Oh, that's just the start. I could tell you stories where it's like, you can't say that to your wife. I'm like, yes, I can. And they're like, they're not going to put up. She has. The key is, I think, just as long as I'm a good economic engine, you know what? She and the kids are probably going to keep me around. Another story is this was probably around that same time frame. She comes up to well, no, because it would have been before, because that was when I was working from home. So I went from working from the office. So it was before that. She came up to the office and she walked by my office. So I went ahead and relocated, so I've been working virtually now for over 20 years, like 22, 23 years. And because she was homeschooling all 7 of our kids, and I'm like, they're getting to be a handful, especially that oldest son of mine.
Yeah.
Um, and so I need to come home. And so I moved. It cost me like $25,000 to have a home office with the technology, because it's before high speed internet and all this other stuff. It was crazy, but I figured it out, came and worked from home. So probably a year or two before that, she comes up to the office, walks by the office. And when I get home that night, she said, who are you? Who are you talking to, really yelling at on the phone? I said, oh, that was Tom Dennis. She's like, isn't he the one that referred us like $260,000 in business over the last, 15 months? I'm like, yeah. She's like, you can't talk like that. I'm like, oh, no, no, honey, let me explain something. That's why he referred the 260,000. And she looks at me and she shakes her head, like a good supportive wife would always. And she shakes her head and she says, I don't know why people pay you. That's what she said. Thanks, funny, for the encouragement. And I started laughing. I said, I know, right? You and the kids get this for free. You don't pay anything for it. So I'm pretty intense because of my life vision. I'm pretty intense because of my life vision. Um, to touch every single person in the world, one person at a time, make a huge difference in every aspect of their life in a really fun and exciting way. And so that's 8+ billion people. And so that's what, I think God put me on this planet to do. That's a lot of people. I mean, it just is. It's like, my gracious. So in fundraising, this is why I volunteer so much time for Life Masteries Institute, because they want to help other nonprofits raise money. And so you can impact a lot of people. And so the 530 grid, the 530 grid
Yep.
will help us to understand that. Now, I'm going to probably, because nice people, like Justin, he and I have just met. So he's the brave one. You don't have to deal with me directly. Oh no, Elaine's coming on now. Um,
There we go.
so I was thinking this podcast, I was thinking, what am I gonna share on the podcast today? And one of our clients, Jeannie Powers, I was coaching her, and I said, Jeannie, she said she was frustrated about something, and I said, do you know the three elements to frustration? And she's like, no. And I said, yeah, there's three elements to frustration. And so if you're all thinking I'm smart, there's no question, man. I mean, I know more than Google. Like, go out there and Google, what are the three elements to frustration? And Google doesn't even know. AI doesn't even know. Nobody knows. So remember that. Like, Mark is really smart. And so I said to Jeannie, I said, I told her the three elements to frustration. She's like, boy, those are good. I'm like, right. And I said, so Jeannie, how frustrated do you think I am? And she says, well, I don't sense that you're frustrated at all. Like, yeah. And it's all fake. Like, so I said, I'm probably the most frustrated person of the 8 billion people on the planet. I mean, that's why I come up with all of these natural laws. I don't think I'd be alive if I didn't. And so the three elements to frustration is how hard we work, how much we care, and our level of expectation of ourselves first, and then systems, and then others. So what most people do is when they get frustrated, they work less, care less, and lower their expectations. This makes them feel good in the moment. It's like having a headache. Like, I don't take any medication. Like, it's except if I have kidney stones, then I'll think, I'll take some. But other than that, yeah, no. And so, like, if I have a headache, I don't take medicine because I think the headache's there for a reason. Aspirin or whatever, Tylenol, it's not gonna fix the core. All it's gonna do is fix the symptom. So I push through it, and then all of a sudden I don't have very many headaches. Like, it's not many. And so why? Because I understand the three elements to frustration. And so what I do is I work harder, care more, increase my expectation of myself, systems, and then other people. And so the reason I share this, especially, with anybody about my wife and counting words. And so often I'll ask questions, and it's yes and no. So if somebody doesn't give me a yes or no, I know they're like one of my 7 kids or 10 grandkids where they're trying to do a smoke screen and whatever. And so I'm going to ask, watch this. This is magic. I think I can do this. I think Justin and I's friendship, I think it's good enough where it can handle it. I don't think he's going to get all mad at me. But so I'm going to ask Justin a question. Justin's going to go ahead and say no. Okay. He's going to say no. And then he's going to give me a reason.
Okay.
This is what we call, Mark's an expert in this conversation. He knows, he knows, like, he's a chess player. And 3D, multiple tables with lots of, so I know people. I just know how people are going to respond. So that I was thinking, and this is in my sleep. So in my sleep, when I woke up this morning, I knew I had this, and I'm like, ooh, okay, I know what I'm going to do. So it's called the reason principle. And people always have a reason. But if you're really passionate about your nonprofit, about what you're doing, like Justin is, like, we help people. We make a difference in people's lives, and money helps people. Like, raising more money, it just helps people. It just is. It's a necessary evil. I'm pretty sure that Justin and I would prefer not to have to worry about money. Money's such a pain. It really is. And so what I want to do is I want to get the systems in place for Justin, so he doesn't have to worry about the money. It's a machine. It just happens. So, so again, remember, I'm gonna ask him a question. He's gonna say no, or he might not even say no. He might just give me a reason why it's no, which I'm just looking for a yes or no. And then he's gonna give me a reason. Now, because I've said all of that, I'm sure Justin's gonna go ahead and not give me a reason. He's just gonna give me yes or no, probably no. All right, watch this magic happen. This is really cool. Okay. So, so Justin, did you get your database done, for this?
No, I did not. The reason, and you will, I don't know if you'll be surprised
No,
about
no, no,
this.
no, don't give the reason. Please don't give the reason.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, don't. So with me, um, the only time as a rule, there's rules. So I don't know. There's a website that they've put together for me, and there's actually a book that's being written, Mark Boersma for Dummies. Have you seen that first chapter?
No, I haven't.
Okay. You'll want to get that. And so I knew that Justin was going to say no, and I knew that there was a reason. There's always a reason. There just always is, with people. And so if I want to know the reason, then I'll go ahead and say, so what's the reason? Just like with my wife. So the reason I share my wife's story is because then people are like, man, dang, wow. If he's that hard on his wife, I can't even imagine. So I love people. I really do. But I don't like them. I do not like. Now, Justin, I like him. Like, I don't know why. He probably won't. He'll probably not. He might get off and swear under his breath and say, man, I'm glad man. If Mark wasn't help, man, I wouldn't hang out with him. I don't like him at all, which is fine. I get it. But, it's whatever. But I like Justin. He seems to have a sense of humor and he can laugh. So now what we need to do is do box two. But doing box two, if we haven't done box one, box two is going to be um, develop and deliver a message. That's box two. Now you can't develop and deliver a message unless you go ahead and have your identified, your targets identified. So there's a natural law that's called the iterations to success principle. So I forget, I think it was $500,000. Was it $500,000 that we were building a plan for, Justin, or $1 million?
It was $250,000.
$250,000. Okay. So it might be easier to reach $500,000 than $250,000.
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
It might be easier to reach $1 million than, $500,000. So especially in nonprofit, because there's big donors. Like I read that Bill Gates, was looking at giving away his $109 billion before he died. And he's, I think, 66 or 69 years old or something like that. And so I don't know about you, Justin, but I'm thinking, I know a couple good causes that could use, that money. So people at that level, people who give at that level, they're probably not even going to want to talk about $250,000. It's too little.
Too little, yeah.
And so the people who have a lot of money. So I think it was the Rockefellers that went ahead and said, they spent the first 40 years of their life acquiring the billions they had, and then the last 40 years of their life giving it all away. And so, like, interesting. So there's a way. So if it takes 100 steps to get to $250,000 or $500,000, million, whatever that is, if it takes 100 steps and each step takes a year, we're going to run out of lifetime. And it would be nice, if it happened during Justin and my life. Like,
Yeah, that'd be good.
That'd be nice. And
Yeah.
so what we got to do is get it from a year, each step taking a year and taking it down and moving it down to a month. So rather than 100 years, it takes 100 months. And ideally, then you take it from a month down to a week and a week down to, a day and a day down to an hour and an hour down. So it's condensing all of these steps, and there's massive number of steps. So with Life Masteries helping you out, they can accelerate this a lot. If you want it accelerated, and everybody's going to say they want it accelerated, but do they really? So the way you can accelerate this is I've already done a lot of training, coaching on these 9 boxes. And so, and then how to look at so we'll go ahead and have um, the link right down here somewhere. There'll be a couple links. And so one of the links are going to go ahead and go to this. And these, I think there's roughly 10 videos here, and they're roughly 15 minutes. And so this shows you the 530 grid in different ways. So this goes over, it's 15. I think all of these are roughly 15-minute videos. So they're pretty short. So we could take 15 minutes, but if we can go ahead and like there's 10 of these. So if I coach you 10 of these, it's going to take 10 weeks. Whereas if you watch one of these videos a day, 15 minutes a day, so there's 1,440 minutes in a day, 10,080 minutes in a week. If you can go ahead and go through one of these videos a day, then we'll get through it a lot faster. We'll get through it in 10 days rather than 10 weeks. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll have that. Now, this gives you big picture. So Tom Coons, guy who raised 100 million for Easter seals, when he saw the 530 grid, he's like, Mark, this is like the holy grail of business. It's not just business, it's the holy grail of making money and raising awareness. It's going to raise more money and it's going to raise more awareness. So if you want volunteers, like nonprofits want volunteers, it will help people become aware of your cause, and it will get volunteers like crazy. And so this gives you the 4 ways to learn the 530 grid. This will give you the 6 levels and the 3 segments of the 530 grid. This will go ahead and give you the golden triangle of the 530 grid, which is what we just kind of went over a little bit. And then this is 3 feet from gold. So when you feel like quitting, don't quit. Just get an expert. So this is a great video because you'll want to quit. You just will, And then because that's just things in life that are worth having are hard. Then it goes into leadership and profitable partnerships. And then again, each of these is roughly 15 minutes long. And then it goes into GTing it and the magic seed. And then it goes into the prospect rescue. And then it goes into asking for referrals. And then it goes into the referral machine, which really gets funky. So this is how it's like a symphony. Like every one of these areas, every one of these 30 boxes, they all interplay together. It's magical. It's absolutely magical when it happens. It's crazy. And so I guess it's not 10, it's more than 10. And then it's FedExing it. So it's the prospect conversion system. Okay, so there's 12 videos. So then it goes through here. And so if you can watch these so I don't have to train you again, it saves my time, helps you to accelerate your learning. So once you understand these, then the next piece is, okay, so now you've got, these are all big picture here. And then you go down here and it goes into the box coaching. So you just do box one, identify targets. And so then it goes into, so then there's 30 boxes. And so it walks you through box one, which is identify targets. So how do you build databases? And then it goes box two is develop and deliver a message. And then it goes into box three, track 100% of the leads. And these are, I think, maybe less than 10 minutes long. So there's not 30 of these. I have a rule that I don't develop more of this until people, use what is there. So box five, box six, box seven, box eight isn't there. Box nine is there. And then box 10, and then box 22. So there's still a lot of these. And so Justin, I'm sure he's going to be the spectacular student and say, Mark, like, get box 8 done. Mark gets box 11 done. I'm like, okay, I'll do box 11. And probably Justin and I will do then those. He and I will do those together probably. So that'll be efficient. But we'll get this. So whatever you can do, Justin, in between our weekly 30 minutes, anything you can do, you try to consume as much as you can, because when this stuff starts going together, all of a sudden, I think for you, so it's not easy putting on an event. I can't even imagine putting on like one like you're doing. I'm like, cheapers. Like, how's he do that? And Justin go, it's not easy. No kidding.
No.
Wow. And when is that event coming up on?
August 23rd.
Okay. So August 11th is our anniversary. August 22nd is my wife's birthday. Um, hmm. Wonder if we would come out there. That would be kind of fun.
That'd be
That'd be
cool.
fun. Yeah, that would be cool. That'd be cool. And I know a lot of people in that area. Um, yeah, so yeah, we might that would be neat. Anyways, any questions that you have on any of this, Justin?
Mark, I think when we talked, one of our strategies was I put up $1,250 for people to just give me their email addresses. Nothing
Okay.
else.
What I'm going to
Just
do is we're going to go into part two. So this is part one on the podcast. So then
okay.
we're going to go into part two. So stick around for this, because I know where this is going. You're like, man, that guy seems smart. I'm really not, okay? But don't tell anybody, because people like to work with smart people. So nobody told me I was smart until I was 40. Not even my mom. You'd think your mom, but she wanted a humble kid, so she didn't tell me. Or maybe I really wasn't smart. Like, so if you're not smart, you're not smart for 40 years, and all of a sudden, right at 40, how old are you, Justin?
50.
50. Okay. So like I at 40, people started telling me how smart when you go 40 years, like it took me a little while. Like, you're not supposed to laugh when people tell you you're smart. You're just like, what are you thinking? Like you're supposed to accept it and say, well, be really humble, but yeah, no, I'm really not smart. It's just if you're 61 years old and you work really hard, you just see a lot of things. And all of a sudden you start seeing all of this stuff and you're like, whoa, there's a lot of funky stuff. So I'm pretty sure I know where Justin's going on this. And it's going to be a phenomenal podcast. So you definitely want to stick around for that, because this is really cool. Here we go.